There have been 11 deaths by 3 alleged killers. Was it because of skin color, criminal retaliation, or a monthly child support bill? Let's talk about the murders in Okmulgee, Stockton, and Chatham. Well, hey everybody, it's Mike, dialing in from Dallas, Texas, last day of the International Chiefs of Police Conference meetings, and I'm heading home. Thank goodness. I'm looking forward to it, but Dallas has been great, and the barbecue is out of this world. Let me tell you, the Pecan Lodge, that's the place to go. Well, here it is. The district attorney in Stockton came out swinging Tuesday, charging 43-year-old Wesley Brownlee. This is the alleged serial killer in Stockton with 3 murders. That left the families of the other 3 victims wondering, does the state have enough evidence to include their loved ones in this string of murders? Police Chief Stan McFadden said that Brownlee was calculating and cold. The chief is quoted as saying, "This person was near perfect, didn't make mistakes, purportedly and purposely stayed in the dark." And like I said before, folks, this is an example where a predator perfected his trade with each victim. And unsurprisingly, family members disagree with the characterization that police are making of Brownlee. And when I say family members, I mean Brownlee's family members. A close family member who didn't want to be identified the now we know full-time truck driver, not a healthcare worker like we initially thought, as a, quote, good-hearted person, and remarked that they're sure police have the wrong man. The person they know as Wesley Brownlee is caring, noting that he's been a responsible caregiver for ill relatives. Now, these remarks come as no surprise to me when we look at these kinds of things. It causes me to reflect on instruction that we've given here at Profiling Evil in the Academy on the 3 personas of a person's life. I'd encourage you to go back and watch that segment and learn more about public, private, and secret personalities. We each possess them. Some people take it to the extreme. But this is how we can better understand who these predators are, and we do so, frankly, by more deeply understanding our own legitimate kinds of behaviors. The difference? They take it to the extreme. Now, we know more about Brownlee than we had known for days. We know that he had a number of brushes with the law, but none of them equaled serial killings. He had a drunken driving charge going back to 2009. In 2010, a temporary restraining order telling him to stay away from family members. Now, I find that curious since those are the same family members, I suspect, that are reconciling that event. And in all fairness, it was dismissed a month later, but they're saying that this was a caring, loving family caregiver, not a serial killer. I'm going to leave it to you to decide as the evidence continues to unfold. But here's something else that we know. He received some traffic citations, akin to blowing through a stop sign back in June of 2022. And he had another traffic citation for speeding. But this is an interesting one regarding charges that he's facing. In 1997, he was charged with 2 felony drug charges, sentenced to a couple of years in prison with some probation. Now, I believe that this is where that weapons violation charge is stemming from. Things just didn't seem to be improving in his life because he also had a cocaine possession back in 2014. Maybe he cleaned up a little bit, and then another traffic violation in 2019. But none of these suggest that he was a budding serial killer. Now, Brownlee's been formally charged with 3 counts of murder, along with a bunch of other charges, and it's likely the state's going to continue to add charges. The DA said, quote, "We charge these cases today because we believe we have sufficient evidence to pursue these charges and prove them beyond reasonable doubt." He continued by saying, hey, we're also adding additional charges. We're confident that we're going to add those additional charges. Let's watch this report on the arraignment and a local perspective on this case.
Court appearance for the man accused in the series of killings there.
Wesley Brownlee is facing murder charges in the killings of 3 people, Jonathan Hernandez, Juan Carranza Cruz, and Lawrence Lopez. He isn't facing charges at this time for the other murders, but that could change. We have team coverage on this court hearing, including the reaction from victims' families and a survivor.
But first, we start with KCRA 3's Brittany Hope. And Brittany, what did we learn from prosecutors today?
We learned a lot more about who Wesley Brownlee is. We learned for the very first time today that he is a truck driver. Officials say he lived mainly in the Bay Area, but had just recently moved to Stockton. We want to show you the first video of Brownlee walking into the courtroom today. Right now, he is facing 3 murder charges in connection to the murders of Jonathan Rodriguez Hernandez, Juan Carlos Carranza Cruz, and Lawrence Lopez. He's also charged for being a felon in possession with a firearm and for having ammunition, too. There are 3 other homicides and an attempted homicide that the district attorney's office says they're still working to charge him with, but those have not been filed as of today. We did ask the district attorney if hate crimes are now involved in the investigation, if targeting Hispanic men or people experiencing homelessness could have been his motive.
We're looking into that. That's still part of the ongoing investigation, and that there's a potential there could be additional charges in that arena as well. So we're developing that evidence.
The defendant was apprehended by the Stockton Police Department and was found to have a firearm. That firearm is commonly known as a ghost gun.
Officials also said in court for the first time today a ghost gun was used in the 3 homicides that Brownlee is currently charged in. We asked the police chief if he thinks Brownlee could have been linked to other shootings in the city, too.
Well, we're going to stay tenacious. We don't know how many cases there are. That's why we still have our tip lines. That's why we're still partnering with our neighboring agencies. That's why we still have this incredible all-star team of a task force, just so we can overturn every stone and see what we have out there.
Yeah, so really we're learning that this investigation is still in its early stages. As what comes next for Brownlee, we know he's going to be held without bail because the judge and prosecutors believe that he is too much of a violent risk to the community. Looking forward to his sentencing. Of course, that's a long time down the road. Right now, he's facing a minimum of life in prison and a maximum of death. We're live in Stockton. Brittany Hope, KCRA 3 News.
And Brittany, we know that Brownlee did speak in court today. What did he have to say?
So he didn't really say much. He was very quiet. He said that he understood the charges against him, and he did say that he wanted an attorney. I did try to speak with some of his family members and loved ones who were here during the hearing, and at this point they said they do not want to speak with media. Ty?
And here's a bit of good news. After police left us wondering if they'd be able to link all these cases together, Stockton police confirmed that the ballistics tests have linked the shootings to each other. Now, they're not saying if all the shootings are from the same gun. And keep in mind that Brownlee was arrested in possession of a ghost gun. It's another charge he's undoubtedly going to face. So we'll keep watching this one. We'll keep talking about it from time to time. But for now, let's jump over to another case I've been looking at. It's the case of those 4 Okmulgee guys. They were murdered and dismembered last week. I'm sure you remember the men. They turned up in the Deep Fork River after being gone for about 5 days. Remember, they went out on a bike ride. Well, the investigation's now showing that they were shot and then dismembered before they were tossed from that bridge into their watery grave, the disposal site that we talked about. On the day they were recovered, police interviewed a man named Joe Kennedy who owned some property where some of the last cell phone data was collected on those men. Kennedy, according to police, seemed to be cooperative. They told police that he didn't even know the guys, and police let Kennedy go. Strangely, in the property there and adjacent, they found it riddled with physical and forensic evidence that suggested the men violently died there. When they tried to talk to Kennedy again, he disappeared, and for several days, police were unable to find him. They feared that he had committed suicide. They even recovered his vehicle about 6 miles east of town, but Kennedy was nowhere to be found. Well, that's because Kennedy was driving around Daytona Beach, Florida in a stolen vehicle. He was arrested, and police are now preparing to extradite him back to Oklahoma, where he's going to face a parole violation for that 2012 felony shooting case where he assaulted somebody who was breaking in to his scrapyard. There's an old saying out there that past behavior is predictive of future behavior, and I think this case is going to prove that out. I think we're going to see that previous behaviors are going to be seen again in the Okmulgee 4. Now let's watch this report on Kennedy's arrest.
A person of interest now in custody in connection with the gruesome murders of 4 friends in Oklahoma. Police arresting Joe Kennedy in what they say was a stolen vehicle after discovering their dismembered bodies in a river and finding evidence of a violent event near his scrapyard.
Although the official cause and manner of death is still pending, each victim suffered gunshot wounds.
Authorities are not calling Kennedy a suspect, but do believe he has important information about what happened. Investigators say Kennedy was initially speaking with them, but they hadn't heard from him since Saturday. On Tuesday, they say they found him in Florida in that stolen car. They say there was no prior connection between him and the victims, identified as Mark and Bill Chastain, Mike Sparks, and Alex Stevens.
We believe the men planned to commit some type of criminal act. That belief is based on information supplied by a witness.
Mark and Bill Chastain's cousin Ashley dismissing claims that the men were heading out to do something criminal.
Whether it was right by you, me, or anybody else's standards, their lives meant something.
Mark Chastain's wife filing a missing persons report last Monday.
When he didn't show up at 7 o'clock in the morning, that's not like him. I knew something was wrong.
Police say a warrant has also been issued for Kennedy's arrest in connection with a separate shooting back in 2012. It's the same Oklahoma County where the bodies of those 4 men were found. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
Make sure you remember that police discovered evidence that there was a violent crime while searching Kennedy's property. I think this guy's got some heavy-duty splaining to do, and I suspect police are going to have additional charges waiting for him when he's extradited back to Oklahoma. But we'll keep following this one. But as we wrap up, I want to talk about Quentin Simon. It's an equally frustrating piece of news from Georgia as police admit they don't know where Quentin's mother is. They don't know where Quentin is. But they do believe that Quentin's mother is still in the area, even though she remains a suspect in her son's murders. Police focus is turning to a local landfill, much like many of you suspected, quite frankly. Police announced that they believe the child was thrown into a local area dumpster, and that dumpster was subsequently dumped at the county landfill. Now they're turning to a team of investigators backed by the FBI who have cadaver dogs, and they are painstakingly sorting through all the trash in that dump. The goal, find the body of Quentin Simon. Now, media reports suggest that the case was originally reported as a possible abduction, that this 20-month-old could have even opened the door and wandered out on his own. Well, there's a whole bunch that isn't being said in this thing, and the chief statement that the mother's the sole suspect is speaking volumes in my terms. The FBI said Tuesday that it believes Quentin was placed in that dumpster, and that dumpster ended up at the facility out there, the dump. And, you know, when coupled with the reports from the family that this child was last seen by the mother's boyfriend around 6 a.m., and don't forget that text message at 5:30 a.m. telling the daycare provider that they're not needed that day, I'm left wondering what happened between 6 a.m. when the boyfriend left and 9:40 a.m. when she made that 911 call. The police, the FBI, they're going to search that landfill, and they've made it clear that they don't think that answers are going to come very quickly. They even noted that they don't believe that they can give any certainty to the outcome, which makes sense. Let's listen to the press conference yesterday on this thing as they talk about this new phase of the search.
Good morning. I'm Chatham County Police Chief Jeff Hadley, and I'm joined today by FBI Senior Supervisory Resident Agent Will Clark from the Savannah office. Chatham County Police Department and FBI entered a new phase in the search for Quentin Simon. A short time ago, we began what will be an extensive search of the waste management landfill located here in Chatham County. As with every step we have taken in this case, the need for this search was based on where the evidence led us. We have spent the last several days preparing and deploying extensive resources to support the search team and the investigators. And I would like to thank, for a moment, Chatham County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff John Wiltshire, Chatham County Emergency Management Agency, Savannah Police Department, Savannah Fire Department, Chatham Emergency Services, and many other agencies that have assisted in getting us prepared to begin our search of the landfill. We know that this is going to be a physically, mentally, and emotionally grueling task for our investigators and team. Yesterday, our team posted this picture of Quentin here on the wall of this operations center as a reminder of who we are searching for and why we continue to work so terribly hard. We want justice for Quentin just like everybody else, and we want to find his remains so we can give him a proper resting place. Once again, we are indebted to the FBI for their unmatched expertise that they have provided to us since they arrived on scene, less than 3 hours after Quentin was reported missing. Now I'll turn it over to Senior Supervisory Resident Agent Mr. Clark, who also has a few remarks.
Thank you, Chief. Good morning, everyone. My name is Will Clark. As the Chief said, I'm the Senior Supervisory Resident Agent of the Savannah and Brunswick offices of the FBI. Throughout our process here, our goal has been to bring Quentin home and to hold anyone responsible for his disappearance accountable. We, along with our law enforcement partners, go into this process with heavy hearts. We did not want to end up at this point, but the evidence has taken us here. We are not just randomly searching this landfill. We have evidence, specific evidence, that leads us to this large property. To help in this search, the FBI has brought in specialists from Quantico, Atlanta, as well as all of our personnel here in the greater Savannah area. The FBI's evidence response team, which has experience in landfill searches like this, is heading up part of this operation. At this moment, we have dozens of FBI personnel on scene in support of the Chatham County Police Department. We will have Chatham County and FBI personnel in the landfill each day, conducting a systematic search of the debris. This will be a complex and strenuous effort. Searchers will move through the debris placed on the search deck looking for evidence. Once that debris is cleared, it will be placed on the search deck and then removed and then replaced with another section of material. This will not be quick, it will not be easy, and the outcome is uncertain. As the Chief said, we want justice for Quentin, and we want to find him a proper resting place. Again, we share the sorrow felt by millions and promise all of our available resources and expertise to assist Chatham County in finding little Quentin.
Thank you, Will. Now we'll take a few questions if you'd like.
What makes you think that Quentin is in this landfill?
The evidence has led us to this place at this date and time.
Or anything specific you can tell us?
Nothing I can tell you specifically.
Chief, what day did you think you would come to this landfill? Is this something you knew last Thursday, last Wednesday, last Tuesday, or yesterday, or this morning?
Agent Clark's going to answer any questions about the landfill.
We've been reviewing the evidence, and throughout the duration of this investigation, we've been following the evidence where it has taken us, and the evidence has taken us to this landfill. The efforts to undertake this landfill search have been several days in the planning. We've brought in experts in landfill searches to guide us to the specific area where we'll be searching. Like I said in my comments before, this is not, we're not searching the whole landfill. We have a specific area where we are looking.
And Agent Clark, in these landfill searches, I know the recovery of the evidence team has done this before. Is this an area that you've now gridded off? There's no more trash coming there, and it's away from anything new that would be coming in?
Yes.
And is that because of where this trash specifically came from?
Yes.
And then for the chief, if you didn't mind.
Sure.
You know, we talked to you 2:30 the Wednesday that he went missing. You were so hopeful in this, and your tone has changed. You almost sounded like you were about to choke up there. You must be emotionally drained. You're as investigators, as agents. Just can you talk about how hard this case has been?
Yeah, you're trying to get me to cry, I think. But it has. You know, we had a meeting yesterday, and to look across the multitude of people that are here and to feel and see their emotions, and but that's coupled with determination and dedication so we can find little Quentin and provide him a proper resting place. It does take its toll. There's a lot of time, energy, and effort that goes into not only the investigation, but the logistics in terms of getting everything we need to be able to provide the proper resources for the search teams and the investigators so we can reach a conclusion at some point. There's a large order of magnitude that has been brought to bear here for this, and I'll say it again, I can't thank the FBI enough for all that they have done. They have been tremendous and phenomenal.
And you know, this is obviously is a criminal investigation now. It was a missing person, and there's no way that it's not, right? No one's been charged?
No one has been charged.
Why has no one been charged?
Because we're not ready to charge anyone yet. We still have work to do. We still have an investigation to do, and we are not going to do anything preemptively that would harm future prosecution, that would, where I'm standing before you 6 months from now talking about a flawed investigation or talking about why we did this and why we didn't do that. I believe in our investigators. I believe in the expertise that we brought to bear here. We are tracking in the right direction, but we're only going to do that when we're ready to do that.
Chief, is that because you're holding out to make this a capital punishment?
When every second counts.
No.
Chief, is this landfill the only place that y'all are going to be searching?
Yes.
Okay.
You mentioned, of course, that this is going to be a large-scale, really strenuous operation. Do you guys maybe have a vague idea of how long you think it'll take, or is that just kind of up to what happens out there?
It's kind of up to what happens, but as Agent Clark said, this is not going to be quick. This is not going to happen within a day or so. We are here for the long haul until we determine that we don't need to be here anymore.
Chief, let's back up a little bit in this investigation. One thing that never happened was there was never an Amber Alert sent out. There was never a Levi's call sent out. Why was that?
It didn't meet the criteria of an Amber Alert at that time.
Why so?
I'd have to go back and look at the exact criteria, but we didn't have any specific information about an abduction. We didn't have a suspect for an abduction. We didn't have a vehicle description or anything like that. And Amber Alerts are very prescriptive in terms of when you can issue them, and we didn't have that information at that time.
Chief, how tough is it to stand here right now when the only outcome of this is someone threw that little baby in the trash?
It's tough, but you know, we understand that, you know, it's necessary. This is the work that we do, you know, albeit emotionally draining, albeit tough, albeit difficult, but this is what the community asks of our law enforcement officers.
So what are your thoughts on these cases, folks? We're wrapping up another week in crime. I hope you'll take a moment and enter all your comments down below and make sure that you're chatting with each other about what you think is going on and how you think they are answering those questions. Have some good, constructive discussions back and forth. I'm going to be reading them, and I hope you will be too. And I hope you'll take a moment and hit that like and subscribe button and ring the bell and all that stuff. Make sure you're sharing Profiling Evil with your friends. And if you're interested, support us through some financial contributions at PayPal or in our channel memberships. You can find it at Profiling Evil. And you can get Profiling Evil on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And if you like podcasts, make sure you're checking out Profiling Evil on your favorite podcast platform. And don't forget to check out Mapping Evil with Mike King. We just launched Season 2 with a really intriguing episode called Killing Betty. It's about a woman in Queensland, Australia who was murdered 70 years ago. I think you're going to enjoy that one, and I think you'll really enjoy my quirky co-host, Tori Shepard. She is an amazingly famous journalist from Australia. Well, thanks for your support of Profiling Evil, and we'll see you all soon at the next crime scene.